forget how I'll do this show. I don't know why I always forget this stuff.
I'm not drinking anything, by the way. I'm drinking an iced tea. So should we say that we're drinking something?
All right, we'll skip the drinks. I'm not drinking anything either. I'm drinking water.
But I think we should start off with something. We'll just say something, whatever it is.
Okay. All
Because
right.
it is supposed to be happy hour. We can't both be at happy hour and not not doing anything.
Okay, you're right. Well, we could say it's earlier in the day, can't we? That we're recording this earlier in the day, or no? I don't care.
I would just keep it the same. Yeah.
Okay.
I would just because I feel like we're always making excuses for. We shouldn't do that. We should just keep going.
All right. Welcome to Happy Hour with the Home Collective. We are your hosts, Bill Ball and Kristin McFeely. Today, we're going to be talking about our 2024 real estate predictions. But first, it's 5 o'clock. It's happy hour. What are you drinking, Kristin?
Well, it's a little drizzly and rainy and cold today. So I have an Irish coffee. That's what I'm drinking.
Nice. That'll work.
Nice and warm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm just sipping on a little bourbon as usual. That's kind of like my go-to. It's a little chilly, you know what I mean? I think it's a little warm me up. So I'm just sipping on a little Basil Hayden's.
Nice.
So anyway, cheers. Happy hour.
Cheers. Happy hour.
All right. So we're in the new year. How was your holidays?
They were good. Yeah, they were good. It's been a little bit of a tough year for me. We lost my brother in February, so this was our first Christmas without him. My mom is also in the process of moving, so it was the last Christmas in the house that we all grew up in.
Man.
So it was a little emotional, I think, this year. But we kind of laid low. We just kind of took it easy, I think, this year. How about you, though? I'm curious to hear how Robbie's Christmas went.
It was chaotic as to be expected. This was the first year where he really understood Santa and Christmas and gifts. So it was bedlam for like days leading up to Christmas. He was getting out of bed every few hours and going downstairs and looking under the tree
and
for
looking.
Gifts.
Oh,
so he didn't understand when exactly Christmas was, but he knew Santa was coming with gifts. So he took it upon himself to just go check, which is always awesome. At 3 a.m. when you just hear this little pitter patter and you know what's going on and you just have to get up and come on, Robbie, let's get back in bed.
Not tonight. It's not.
Good thing
tonight.
Sheena doesn't listen because she'd be the one. She's always the one that's getting up anyway to go get him back in bed. But it was good. He got crushed with gifts. It's ridiculous, man. I mean, I'm happy that he's happy, but you always have that little concern of like it's too much. Like we didn't give him we just gave him a couple things because we knew he's like the baby in the family. So like all the relatives will come over and you give him stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, I got him one thing, and actually it was from Santa. So he thinks I got him nothing. So I got that going for me.
That'll be a core memory in his life.
Yeah, right. But his big gift this year was a bike with pedals because he had a balance bike up to this point. So he's got this big Spider-Man bike, and we had him out there Christmas Day riding around. He just absolutely loves it, and the weather's kind of crappy, and he can't get out there today, so it's just killing him. So we got a lot of remote control.
Does it have training wheels?
It does have training wheels, but the balance bike.
They can eventually come off?
Yeah, they come off. But the balance bike actually taught him how to totally, like I have video of him just flying down the street with his feet up.
What's a balance bike? I don't even know what that is.
I know I guess they came out with them recently in last, I don't know how many years. I have no clue. But it's just a bike with no pedals. And they just push their feet on either side. And I thought it was the stupidest thing. I was like, this thing's never going to work. I remember like last year when he got it, or maybe it was the year before, I was like, how's this thing isn't going to work? Next thing you know, because when he first got it, he's literally just walking, standing over his seat with the bike. I'm like, trying to tell him how to sit down and like push. And eventually he's like flying down the hill with his feet in the air. I'm like, okay, so he's got the balance part down. I guess it gets the pedals out of the way so you can keep putting your feet down in case you fall. So it teaches you balance first.
That's kind of a cool idea, actually. Yeah. I've never even heard of that.
I They didn't have those. They had big wheels when we were kids. You know,
Big
you had a big
wheels,
wheel,
definitely.
and then you had a bike with training wheels. That was
Yeah. I never had the training wheels. We had big wheels, and my dad was always like, no, with anything that would like help. Like I learned to ski without poles, ride a bike without training wheels. Like my dad was like, no baby pool. Like you're going in the big person pool. That's how you'll learn how to swim. Yeah. I don't know.
He was that dad that just threw you in the deep end.
Yes. 100%. He was there.
I could never do that.
He could grab me.
Never.
But,
I know.
Definitely. Oh, I didn't have any of those. I didn't have any of those things that are helpful when you're learning.
God.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
What do you think? Think that's good?
I think that's good. Oh, wait, okay. Bill, I have a question that I have to ask before we dive into our listener question today. Did you watch It's a Wonderful Life? You did not. I can tell by your face you did not.
I am almost done.
What do you mean almost done? Well, you're watching it more than one sitting?
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, that's just how it is anymore. I barely make it through a movie in one sitting. I know. So I put it on for maybe 15 minutes at a time, and then I'm on to something else.
But how do you even watch a movie that way?
I've been watching a lot of movies that way.
Don't you sort of forget what you just saw and like?
No. Mm-mm.
Oh.
No. So I'm about halfway through, maybe a little bit past the halfway point.
And what do you think so far? It's like you're reading a book.
I like it. Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly how it is. When you put a book down, you come back and you pick it up and you pick up right where you were. So it's I find myself doing that with the older movies. Not so much, not that I watch any new movies anymore, but the old movies, like I watched, this is funny. Recently I watched From Here to Eternity.
And that might take 2 sittings.
Eternity.
Or did you not think so?
No, I did. I stopped. I just would watch. And it's not like I couldn't take it anymore. It's just that there's things going on. It's hard. We're all home. My son's got, he's only so long I'm not going to be in a room, So I'm in my back room and I'll watch 15 minutes. And then, while I'm trying to work, it's just like, that's just the way it is. If I sat down at night after you went to bed and watched the whole thing, but then I'm usually trying to catch up on sports or something. So,
oh my God.
It's just the way it is.
It's a rough life you've got there. Jeez. So what do you think so far of the movie?
I like it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. There was a couple innuendos and jokes that I thought were kind of racy for the time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I was like, whoa. Did she say? And I was like, whoa, I didn't know it went there.
There are a few.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me know when you're finished with it.
I'm almost done.
It's a good one.
I'll get there.
It's a good one. Cool. Okay. Well, coming up, we do have a listener question. Well, all right. Wait. You do what you do.
Questions. Yeah. We'll just say let's not do listener questions. Let's just say.
Well, that's going to be the question. That's just so we're keeping it consistent.
All right.
It's just going to be one question, and it's going to be, what are your predictions?
All right, so coming up next, we're going to get into our listener question, which is, what are our predictions for the 2024 real estate market?
Okay. All right, Bill, this is a hot topic here. So we have a couple questions asking pretty much the same thing. They're asking what our predictions are for 2024 for real estate. So I'd love to hear what you're thinking here.
Yeah, so we kind of went over this. Most times when we do this segment, I have no idea what's coming. Kristin just kind of springs it on me, but we were texting about this topic, and we thought a fun way to do it would be to kind of start off with a movie title that we think is going to sum up the year.
The next year.
So for 2024, I sat down and I was thinking of movies. I was going through my list. I have no movies, post 2010, maybe even 2000. So I got to go back. You know me. I got to go back in the archives. And I started thinking, well, what do I really think this market's going to do? And I have a good idea of what I think it's going to do. So my movie title for 2024 real estate predictions, at least in the Philly area, is a movie that came out 1989, starred Nicole Kidman Billy Zane and Dr. Grant from Jurassic Park. Movie's called Dead Calm.
Oh, Dead Calm.
Do you remember that movie?
I do, but I don't think I ever saw that movie.
It's creepy. You should watch it. It's creepy.
I think I'm confusing it with that one that I always talk about with Julia Roberts, Sleeping with the Enemy.
Yeah.
Is that the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, that was the
I think I confused it with that
husband one. Yeah. No, this one's like they're on a boat.
Mm-hmm.
They're on a boat, and I don't even want to give it away. It's just weird.
They're on a boat in this other one too. So maybe I
really?
have seen it. I don't know.
Dead
Maybe
Calm?
I'm confusing it with the other one. Yeah.
All right, so I'll
At
give you
the
a quick.
end.
I'll give you a quick recap of the Dead Calm. so Dr. Grant, I don't know his real name, and Nicole Kidman are married, and they're on a boat, and they're out in these calm waters. And
wait a minute, I saw this. I did
saw
see
this, right? Okay. Should I just say what
I did?
what it's about, just so the listeners or people are like, wait, I don't know what he's talking about.
Go for it.
Okay.
Go for it. Go for it.
So they're on a boat. It's kind of like maybe, I don't know, just picture like the Bahamas water, just calm, and they're out there just enjoying vacation or whatever. It's been a while since I saw this movie too, so forgive me, but I'll just give you the overall. So up ahead, they see this pretty big ship. It almost looks like a pirate ship or something from what I remember. And they're trying to call ahead to see like who's on the ship and what's going on, and and they're just getting closer and closer. And all of a sudden, as they're still like maybe, I don't know, 500, let's say 500 yards away from the ship, they're looking through their binoculars, and they see a guy on a dinghy, and he's rowing as fast as he can towards their boat. And they're like, what the hell's going on? So it's Billy Zane. So he gets up to the boat, and they let him on. And then I can't remember what he says to them, but I don't know if he indicates that. Oh, he said maybe the ship was sinking. Ship sinking, blah, blah, blah. So Dr. Grant gets in the dinghy and tries to go over to the ship to go check it out. Big mistake. So there's some crazy stuff going on the ship. And then he left his wife on the boat with Billy Zane.
Yes.
Who's not such a nice guy. Yeah.
No.
So anyway, that's the movie.
Yes.
For anyone who wants to check it out.
I have seen that movie. I have seen that movie. Yeah.
So the reason I think it's Dead Calm.
That's actually a good title. That's a good title.
Okay. So should I get into why I think that? You want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I think is going on in 2024 is just not much. I think rates are going to start slowly coming down, and you're going to see more activity, but I think it's just going to be a slow build in for the whole year. That's what I think. And I think that's a good thing. And I was really thinking about this because we really don't want to be in a situation where rates just suddenly drop dramatically. We don't want that, because if that happens, the market's going to go crazy, and it's going to be another feeding frenzy, and it's going to drive home prices up again, because now everybody wants to move, everybody's trying to buy, everybody's trying to jam it in. But if they slowly come down, I think it gives people, again, more time. Really, time is what we need to get adjusted and to, make this the new norm. And then if they're slowly ticking down, we'll start seeing more inventory, hopefully, and we'll start seeing more buyer activity, and we'll start getting back to normal. The frenzy happens when there's these dramatic rises in interest rates. Well, that's what it was for 2023. And the same could happen if they drop rates dramatically. Like, it's really not what you want. So as painful as it is for us as realtors, I do think the best thing for the market itself is for just some steady, a steady drop. And I don't think they're going to go nowhere near where they were in the past. But if they get into the fives by the end of the year, then I think, really opens up a lot of opportunities for buyers and sellers. And then buyers that were locked in 3 and 4, they're like, okay, 5, it's not the end of the world. You're not going from 3 to 8, like they were at one point. I think I just looked up that guarantee rate had them at the national average was like 6.65, right now, which
Mm-hmm.
isn't horrible. I mean, historically,
No,
really.
it's not. That's
So
less
anyway,
than what I bought my first house with.
that's my feeling for why I'm calling 2024 dead calm. Sounds boring, but I think we kind of need a little boring. We don't need the crazy time
We
right
need a
now.
little
But
boring.
what was your movie title?
I'm
What do
okay
you
with
think?
boring, honestly. After the year I've had, I'm happy to have boring. I'm happy to have really boring.
Oh, you know what's funny? Wait, wait,
Yeah,
wait.
I
I'm
think
sorry.
so
Before
too.
wait,
And
wait, wait. Kristen, wait.
yeah,
Before you get into this is funny. Before you get into your 2024 movie, that's going to predict real estate for our area, I thought of a TV show that summed up my 2023, The Practice. Because all I was doing was showing a lot of houses, writing a lot
so
of
funny.
offers, and not doing any deals. So
That's
if my
great.
2023 was a TV show, The Practice.
The practice. That's great. That is great. Oh my God.
All right, I'm sorry. Anyway, 2024, what do you got?
I don't really have a title for a movie. I just have the like predictions, things that I'm
Okay.
thinking of. So one thing I was, to kind of tag off of what you were just talking about with rates, the one issue that we sort of still have is that for the most part, in most places, seller's perception is still like my home is worth this much. Like, the prices are still quite high for the most part in most places. Very few sellers have kind of gotten the memo that the rates are really high and you got to adjust your price accordingly if you want to sell this house. So if, to your point, if the rates drop dramatically and the prices are still really high and all of a sudden there is buyer demand, I mean, prices at some point will just be out of reach for any regular middle class person. I mean, the prices will just skyrocket again, and that already they're sort of higher than they've been in, years. So I think that's another reason for what you were saying is like the very slow decline of interest rates is sort of what we're looking for. So we don't have that.
Yeah, because nobody wants that, really. I mean, it sounds, if you're not really thinking about it, it sounds like, yes, well, just drop rates and let's get back. And it would just not, I just think a lot more damage would happen that way. Because we've already
I think so
seen
too. I
so
think so
many
too.
houses get
Yeah.
way overbid, especially in the burbs, and they're cash deals. So they're not even protected with like, getting a mortgage,
An
with an
appraisal.
appraisal and, not that I think appraisal equals market value, and we all know it doesn't. But at least it's some kind of governor, maybe some kind of like roadblock there where maybe it'll stop you and say like, hey, like just hold on here a sec, you know.
Yeah.
But and we've seen property go over the number, and then appraisals come under, and if they're close and if it's even semi-close, it's not that big a deal. Like 10 grand, not a big deal. But it's when you got people putting 100, you've done deals and you've been involved in deals where people are going 120,000 over.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, is it really worth that? I mean, I don't. It's hard to say, right? I mean, right now it's just like there are numbers that where we say that's just too much. But if who's to say for that person if it's too much? Like if
Well,
they're going to
that's
be
it.
there for 30 years and they got the money and they don't care and they're coming from New York where they would have had to spend $1 million, maybe it's not. And they don't. And I get it, but I'm just saying for overall market, it's a little. We don't want that. we,
No.
we want sellers to make money, and we obviously want real estate to increase because this
Mm-hmm.
is an investment. But we also don't want to see buyers, get so stretched out where it doesn't make sense to them, and then all these homes come back on the market. Like I don't want to see what happened in 2008, 2009 when we had all those short sale. Remember, like almost
And
every deal
foreclosures. Yeah.
was like a short sale.
Yeah.
Every deal was like you had to go through the bank and it had to be approved and you had to sign all these addendums and the seller had to bring money to the table. Like it's a little depressing, you know?
It's very depressing. Very depressing. I mean, we definitely do not want to go back into that world. Our foreclosure rate here in Philadelphia is really low, which is great. But Yeah, we definitely do not want to see that again. That is not. So I kind of agree with your dead calm. I mean, I feel like in terms of what next year should bring, hopefully, is just a bit of time. You know, I think rates are now, I mean, they were close to 8. In some cases they were 8. Now they're kind of in the high 6s. If we can get to 5, I think that would be fantastic, or in the 5s. But I actually think if we stay in the 6s all year, that's fine. That'll become the new normal, and that's absolutely fine. I mean, that's still historically low, you know? So I feel like that's kind of where we're headed. I don't expect prices necessarily to drop too much. Um, but I think the growth will be pretty modest at the same time. So, I don't know. I think what are some of your predictions though? Just
Well,
to
I mean,
answer this listener question.
I don't know what else we could predict besides what we think the temperature is going to be.
Yeah.
You know,
Are
like
there any are there any particular areas you think will be people will be focusing on more than others?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I don't know if we're going to see. I don't know if we're going to see like the suburban flight that we've seen already happen. I think that might maybe have calmed down some. Would you say that that's still
Yeah.
going to continue, or
No, I mean, I see some hope for the city. I mean, I know I'm really optimistic about this, but we're going to have a new mayor. It's an election year. I don't know. I just kind of feel like the only thing I can be right now is optimistic for our city. I love Philadelphia, and I see, I'm reading all of these things about, like, people going back to work, and new businesses opening. Lots of new restaurants are opening. I feel like people will give the city maybe a little bit longer before leaving. And I do think that some people are coming back. I mentioned to you in, I think, the last episode that I'm working with someone who's retired, lived in Jenkintown, lived in the suburbs her whole life, and is now like in her mid 60s or so, kind of young retiree, and is excited to make a new life in Old City. So she bought this really cool condo, and she's going to be living in Old City. So I don't know. I feel like I'm very hopeful for our city in 2024. I'll put it that way. I'm very optimistic. And I'm hoping that we don't have that flight, and that we really do have, neighborhoods that people are excited about again, and a downtown that people are excited about. And so, yeah, that's my prediction. I hope that I'm right on that one.
by no means am I saying that no one wants to live in the city, but I think the majority of the activity we saw, and it really stemmed from going back to COVID, was more space. So everyone that was in, no matter what space you were in during COVID, you needed more. So
Yeah,
everything was relative to that individual. So
good
even if you
point.
had 2,000 square feet, a giant 2,000 square foot, new construction townhouse in the city, during COVID, that started to look small to you.
Yeah.
So people were looking for 4,000 in the suburbs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you had that, but you also had, people that were in apartments in the city going, oh my God, I need a townhouse. And we're perfectly happy to have their next move stay in the city and be a townhouse.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that people are flying to the suburbs and these houses in the city are just going dormant. They're also being purchased.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that the activity where it was almost like a bum rush. I mean, the
Yeah.
city went through this too. Like I remember back in, I don't know, 2012, 2013, so much new construction and the city got bum rushed from the suburbs, and it was just reversed. It was more expensive to live in the city than the suburbs at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's shifted. It'll shift, I'm sure, at some
Yeah.
point in the future. And what I'm saying is I still think we might see more of an urgency for the suburb deals, but not as much as we saw in the last 2 years. So I
Yeah.
think it's kind of starting to balance itself, but I still think the burbs are going to be more desirable at this point. But that does not mean that the cities doesn't have a lot going on, and that you don't have young buyers still buying in the city. I just closed the deal last month for condo at 12th and Bainbridge. Young single guy. He was happy to
Yeah.
have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
by no means am I saying that no one's buying in Philly. That's totally not what I'm saying.
Yeah. 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 No, I think that, in COVID, like you said, there were people who, were maybe thinking, like young families that were sort of thinking, well, I've got a couple years, I'll stay here in the city and then we'll move in a couple of years. And then 2020 happened, COVID happened, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, we're pushing up our timeline. Now we want to go now. Where I think that part will slow. I think people will still eventually maybe think that that'll be their move, but I don't think there's this feeling of urgency the way that it once was, which is good. Like people feel like, and then there's a lot of, there's a lot of stuff going on with our schools. There's a ton of parent involvement with people who want to stay and raise children in the city. And so they're really involved in the public schools. And, I just feel some optimism here for our city of brotherly love. And I hope that people decide to make it their permanent home, honestly.
What I'm hoping for myself is that my buyers get back out there that got shut out in 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want a prediction for 2024, I think a word like trepidation might be.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they're going to be, trying to, get out there and see what's going on and looking. I mean, we have, and when I say we, I'm sure you do, but I know it's more than me. We have buyers that are ready. We have buyers that are ready, looking, and they're always looking. So it's just a matter of when. So I would say I think 2024 is going to be a gradual increase in sales per quarter. There's a prediction for you.
Yeah.
I think we're going to come out of the holiday. You're going to see some stuff, see some activity. Then we're going to get into Q2. You're going to see a little more. Q3 a little more, and then Q4 it could be the most where it's usually not, because by Q4 you might see rates in the high fives. Because
Dip
right
into the
now,
fives, yeah.
that's not crazy. I mean, right now they're in the almost mid to high sixes. They're 6.65 for the average, the national average, right? But you could also buy a point or two down, and you can get to like 6.1, 6.2 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just by putting a couple $1,000 more down on your payment. So even that right there, that's possible. So if rates get to 6.5 or under, you could get it. You can lock something in the fives by the end of this year. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I believe you. I believe that. What are you seeing just now? This is sort of like our, slower coming out of the holiday time. I always find that at the beginning of January. Oh, can you hear me? I think my microphone just did something funny. The beginning of January always, to me, feels a little busy, which a lot of people say, oh, spring market starts in, mid-February after the Super Bowl. But I always feel like January is sort of a time when a lot of conversations are starting to happen. Maybe not, sales necessarily, but conversations like, okay, this is the year we're going to do this. Can you get us set up on a search? Can we have a buyer consultation about this? We want to sell this year. How are you feeling? What have your conversations been with buyers and sellers and clients?
No, I agree. I think we do that with a lot of things with January 1. And it probably has a lot to do with the last couple weeks of December where everyone's just walking around in their Christmas pajamas. It's like, I got to start doing something. I got to get back to the gym. I got to start planning. No, I haven't had a ton of conversations, but like new conversations. But honestly, like my conversations are still going on from last year.
Mm-hmm.
So like everybody that's missed out, I mean, they're still there. Like they're still looking at their collections. And for our Compass tools, we set up what's called a collection for our buyers, where we can save property, and it's almost just like a folder that they can see properties, and we could see the activity, and we communicate back and forth. I could see my people searching.
Yeah, me too.
I
Yeah.
know they're there and they're looking, and I'm always communicating with them through that, just catching up with them. So I think everybody's just kind of, especially the buyers, they're just kind of watching and seeing what's happening. They're probably
Mm-hmm.
looking at the rate coming out of the holiday and trying to get a feel for what's going on. And then we still need some more inventory too. So
We do.
there's that. So
Yeah.
they're looking, and if they see something, I think they would pounce on it. But you had mentioned something in maybe a couple episodes ago on how Phillies is weather dependent in the winter.
Yeah. Yep.
So right now, today, I mean, it feels pretty good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doesn't feel crazy cold. There's not a ton of snow. There's not ice. That always slows everything up. We have
Mm-hmm.
weather that's been in the 40s, so it's like that could bring on an early spring market for sure.
Yeah.
I could
They're
see.
calling for, I mean, the Farmer's Almanac is calling for a pretty snowy winter actually here in Philly. Certainly haven't seen it yet though. The temperatures have been way above average so far. So
I would be
who
okay
knows?
with.
But
I would be okay with that. I hate to say it, but
yeah, I'm actually okay with it. I love snow when I have nowhere to be and I could just sit in my house
yeah.
with my hot cocoa and
You
look
love
at it.
sit
I
in your house. You
love
love a
it.
snow load. You like to truck down to walk down to the corner bar and sit
I
there and
do.
drink. Yeah,
That's
with your snow
I love
boots
it.
on.
I love it. But
I know.
this business doesn't exactly stop. And I feel like the moment it snows, someone's like, I need to see this property.
Oh, yeah.
And that I actually really can't say. I
Me
cannot
too.
stand driving in the snow. So then I usually have to get Billy to drive me in his truck, 4-wheel drive, and I have to like hop out like I've got a chauffeur. It's the whole thing is just terrible and embarrassing. And you're wearing snow boots and lock boxes are frozen and
Yeah, it's
no,
bad.
I could do without. I love a beautiful snow day when I have nothing to do, but
Yeah.
oh no.
And then you have to truck, and then you have snow all over you, and then you have to go in someone's house, and you got to
And then
bang
of
off
course you
your
have to take your
boots,
boots off.
and then you got to try not to get everybody's house soaking wet. It's yeah, it's tough.
Balance yourself while you're putting your boots back on.
So I
But they
remember
never have a bench.
we haven't had to do it in a few years, but I remember like Sheena
No.
would leave the house with like that de-ice spray for the
Oh,
lock
yeah.
box, like
For lock
spraying
boxes.
boxes, trying to get the numbers to turn.
I used to give like a mini version of that to the team every year as a Christmas present, like a little pocket version that
funny.
you can put in your purse or your bag.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Oh yeah, you have to have de-icer. You have to have. If you don't have de-icer, you can have like just a bottle of alcohol, like rubbing alcohol. That works too.
That's
I
too
always
funny.
have my car stocked with that stuff.
Well,
But
I
yeah,
was saying,
I'd be happy to not have that.
well, I was saying that I don't mind. I need to have some snow because my son, he has not gone
Yeah.
sledding. 2 years ago, we had some snow. We had like maybe we get like 6 inches, and it was there for like one day. We have video
Yeah.
of him walking around in it. But he's at the point where we have this big hill at this park right down the street from us, and he's like, "Dad, when it snows, we're going to this hill." I was like, "We are going to this hill," and we
That's
bought
so
him a
cool.
sled.
Yeah.
Like last year, and it's like, come on, man. So if we get some snow late January, February, I'm not going to be too upset about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. What do you think?
All right. How do we wrap this? I wrote some stuff down. I'm just glancing at my notes to see if there's
These
anything
are like
I can
perfect
add.
episodes. It's like 30 minutes. We didn't
Yeah.
talk too long in the beginning. We talked mostly about real estate. Did you like my dead calm?
I love it.
I
love
really
that.
thought you were going to come up with something. I really
I
thought
was
you'd
thinking,
have something really good.
First I thought you meant, honestly, when you texted, I thought you meant make up a movie title, not use a movie title. I thought you meant make up a movie title. And I thought you meant for 2023, like what sums up the last year. And I was like, oh man, I'm drawing
Make
a
up a
blank
movie
here.
title.
That's
No,
what I thought you
I
meant.
meant take a movie.
And I was like, I don't
and-
know.
Yeah. That's all right.
Got it. Now I know what you mean. Yeah, I think we touched on all of these things that I wrote down. I did say, like, the inflation and the economy are starting to slow, which means mortgage rates will drop. We pretty much covered all that.
I think we did pretty good.
I think so too.
It's hard to predict this stuff, but I do think that's what.
Yeah.
I honestly do think that's what's going to happen. I
I
don't
think the things we said were pretty, yeah.
Yeah, I don't. It's not sexy because it's not anything great.
Mm-mm.
Because just nothing's. I think we're gonna have a lot of the same, but I think the reason why it's better is because I think we're going to see slow improvement, and it's like when you can see the light, it's a lot easier to go through the dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do think we'll have like a slow build. All right, Kristen, we're gonna wrap this one up. I think we're on the same page with what we think about 2024.
I think so.
And it's a good thing. Wouldn't you say? Like, I don't think it's.
I think so.
It's a little boring.
I mean,
but
it's a little boring, but again, I'm good with boring this year. If that's what it ends up being, I'm good with it.
As long as we see that nice, steady growth and getting back to what we're used to, it's all good.
Yeah.
I think we passed the hardest part of, selling and buying real estate that we haven't seen in a long time. So I think we are over the hump, and I think we do have good things coming. I just think it's not going to just bounce back incredibly, but it's going to be a nice slow burn. It's going to be nice, nice slow ride up.
Nice dead calm.
Nice dead calm. All right, Kristen. Happy New Year, and
Happy New Year
catch
to
you next
you.
week at Coffee Break.
All right, sounds good. Happy New Year.
All right.